Hi dear students, welcome to this lecture where we will be talking about abnormal uterine bleeding. This is an introductory class where we will be talking about introduction to abnormal uterine bleeding. So abnormal uterine bleeding, before we study this abnormal uterine bleeding, we have to understand what is normal uterine bleeding. Okay, what do you mean by normal menstruation? Okay, so let us come to the physiology of menstruation. I will be talking in a brief period. Okay, so if you consider this to be the cycle, suppose considering it to be a 28-day cycle, 28-day cycle, let us consider, then always remember that the second half of the cycle, is always 14 days. Second half of the cycle is 14 days, means from the time of ovulation, to the next menses is always 14 days, and this is called the secretory phase. The rest of the cycle, the rest of the part before the ovulation takes place, is called the proliferative phase. So it is the proliferative phase that keeps on varying from person to person. The secretory phase is constant and it is of 14 days. This is very important. Secretory phase is always of 14 days. Now let us see the physiology, what actually happens. When a cycle starts, what happens? The hypothalamus is secreting gonadotropin releasing hormone, which will stimulate the anterior pituitary to secrete FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. Actually, the anterior pituitary secretes luteinizing hormone also, but at the very onset when the cycle is starting, then follicle stimulating hormone is secreted. Now this follicle stimulating hormone will go towards the ovary. Suppose this is the ovary, and it will stimulate the follicle formation. So it is basically follicle stimulating hormone. That is, it will stimulate the follicles to get recruited. Okay, so these are the follicles which generally gets recruited, and one of the follicle which has the largest number of FSH receptors, जिसके पास सबसे ज़्यादा receptors होंगे, वो comparatively बड़ा हो जाएगा and it will inhibit the other follicles to become atretic. So for every one follicle that is recruited, many follicles become atretic and they disappear. Okay, so one of the follicles which becomes the main follicle which develops has the largest number of FSH receptors compared to the other follicles. Now this follicle will be called the dominant follicle. Now when do you say that a follicle is dominant? We say a follicle has become dominant once it has become at least 9 to 10 mm in diameter. ठीक है, इनिशियली वो बहुत छोटे छोटे फॉलिकल्स रहते हैं. जब वो 9 to 10 mm का डायमीटर क्रॉस कर जाता है, तब वो धीरे धीरे बड़ा होने लगता है, एंड वी से नाउ इट हैज़ बिकम डोमिनेंट फॉलिकल. So it will keep on enlarging until the largest size of 20 mm, that is 2 centimeter तक फॉलिकल एनलार्ज होगा. This 20 mm largest follicle size is called the pre-ovulatory follicle. Now this pre-ovulatory follicle, what happens is, these follicles, when they are becoming dominant and when they are becoming pre-ovulatory, they are actually secreting estradiol. Estradiol is E2. Okay, so estradiol, ovary is the main source of estradiol production. Now how this estradiol is being produced, let us see in minute detail how this estradiol is being produced. If you look at the ovary and consider it as a compartment, so you have two cell, two gonadotropin theory. Okay, two cell, two gonadotropin theory. What does this two cell, two gonadotropin theory say? It says that you can divide the ovary into two cell compartments. One is your granulosa cell compartment and the other is your theca cell compartment, theca cells and granulosa cells. So you have granulosa cells and you have theca cell compartments. Now, granulosa cell compartment is being stimulated by the FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, okay, and theca cell compartment is being stimulated by luteinizing hormone produced from the anterior pituitary. So what happens when luteinizing hormone stimulates the theca cell compartment? Theca cells produce androgens. Theca cells produce androgens. What type of androgens are produced in females? Basically it is DHEA. DHEA, okay, you can call DHEAS also. It means dehydroepiandrostenedione. Okay, S stands for sulfate. So dehydroepiandrostenedione sulfate is the androgen which is produced basically by the theca cells. These androgens migrate and they sweep towards the granulosa cells. Okay, वो granulosa cell की तरफ चला जाता है. And then inside the granulosa cells you have the hormone called aromatase. Aromatase helps in conversion of androgens to estrogens. So the male hormone gets converted to female hormone. So this DHEA or androgen gets converted to estradiol, E2. Estradiol is produced. So it is the E2 form of estrogen which is produced in the granulosa cell compartment. So always remember, granulosa cells are the sites or prime sites of estradiol production. So if you have cancer of the granulosa cells, granulosa cell cancer occurs in some female, then the level of estradiol is very much high in the body. Estradiol is very high. So if estradiol is very high, estrogen helps in proliferation of the inner lining of the endometrium. So endometrium becomes very thick in such patients and then patient will have heavy menstrual bleeding. So this is the clinical feature with which patient of granulosa cell tumor of the ovary, although it is an ovarian cancer, it will lead to heavy menstrual bleeding. Also, if you do an ultrasound, you will find that the endometrial thickness is very high. Endometrial thickness is very high. So this is the feature of granulosa cell cancers. So what happens is, we have studied about till here estradiol is produced. So what was happening is, when the follicles have become dominant and they are coming to the pre-ovulatory phase, then basically what happens, your estradiol level is increasing slowly. So what happens in the first half of the cycle, it is the estradiol which is increasing. Estradiol is keeping on increasing. E2 is increasing in the first half of the cycle. Then after a certain level, the estrogen will reach its peak. The peak value of estrogen is 200 nanograms per ml. Okay, so it has reached a peak 200. When estradiol has reached its peak level in the body, and at this peak level the estrogen is remaining for 48 hours. Okay, estrogen will remain at the peak for 2 days, 48 hours तक जब वो इस लेवल पे रह जाएगा. Now this is a trigger, this estradiol is a trigger for the anterior pituitary to secrete luteinizing hormone. Okay, so luteinizing hormone secretion increases when we get a positive feedback from the estradiol when it has reached its peak and it has remained at the peak for the next 48 hours. So now LH is being produced. Now this LH has two functions. One, it comes to the theca cell compartment and it will produce androgens, and number two, it will also help in ovulation. It will help in ovulation. So how this ovulation is occurring? What happens is, now the LH is started to rise. LH has started to rise when the estrogen is at its peak for 48 hours. Now this rise of LH is called the LH surge. LH surge. LH surge means LH has started to rise. Starting of rise is called the LH surge. So LH surge के बाद it takes 24 hours to reach its peak. For the next 24 hours, for the next one day, LH will reach its peak. And LH will remain at this peak for the next 12 hours. LH will remain at its peak for the next 12 hours. LH remaining at its peak for next 12 hours is a stimulus for ovulation to occur. Is a stimulus for ovulation to occur. तो यहाँ पे आपके eggs release हो जाएंगे from the pre-ovulatory follicle. So LH, what it does is LH comes and it breaks down the prostaglandins which are making the integrity of this pre-ovulatory follicle. So इसके membranes को rupture करा देगा luteinizing hormone. So once its membranes ruptures, then the egg gets released. The egg gets released. And when the egg gets released, the ovum gets released, it is picked up by the fimria of the fallopian tube and it enters the fallopian tube and it starts migrating. Now, the rest of the follicle becomes atretic and it gets converted to corpus luteum. It gets converted to corpus luteum. Now, this corpus luteum is a source of a hormone called progesterone. It helps in secreting progesterone. So, corpus luteum has a lifespan of 7 to 8 days. Okay, it remains for the next 7 to 8 days. It is active. So, if on day 14, let us consider day 14 पे ovulation हुआ है, then corpus luteum will be secreting progesterone until for the next 8 days, means till day 22. Day 22, it will be secreting progesterone in very large amount. After day 22, the progesterone level will start decreasing slowly, and by day 25, for the next 3 days, day 25, the progesterone level will decrease. So what happens once ovulation has occurred, then what happens, the progesterone level goes high and progesterone level remains. After that, what happens when corpus luteum becomes atretic, then progesterone level also falls, and progesterone level falls completely by day 25. Day 22 से day 25 तक it keeps on decreasing, and by day 25 it is decreased. Also, progesterone has a negative feedback on estradiol. So progesterone जब बढ़ता है तब estradiol को कम करा देता है. तो when progesterone had increased, your estradiol level had decreased. Estradiol level had decreased because progesterone was at its peak. Now this progesterone has been an antagonist to the estradiol. So what happens is at day 25, when the estrogen and progesterone both are low, then the endometrium sheds and patient will have bleeding by day 28. So what actually happens in the uterus as the cycles are continuing? So in the first half of the cycle, when the estradiol was high, in the proliferative phase, then estrogen helps in proliferation of the endometrium. So endometrium धीरे was becoming thick. Endometrium grow कर रहा था, because the endometrial growth and cell division is promoted by estradiol. In the second half of the cycle, when progesterone was at its peak, then progesterone helps in decidualizing the endometrium. Decidualizing the endometrium means it will make the endometrium secretory. It will make the endometrium secretory. Endometrium becomes secretory. What do you mean by secretory? Means the endometrium, if you see the histopathology, you will find lots of glands which are filled with columnar epithelium, and there are secretions inside the gland. So it becomes secretory. So it keeps on secreting little fluid in the endometrial cavity, and this fluid is very much necessary for the implantation. अगर pregnancy आता है इस time पे, then this pregnancy will get implanted, because it will take the nutrition from all these fluids and it will get implanted in this fluffy endometrium, which is also called the decidua. Decidua is nothing but the fluffy endometrium. So fluffy nature of the endometrium and secretory fluids are produced by progesterone, as an adaptation of the body for implantation to occur. So once this progesterone and estrogen both are low after day 25, then this endometrium cannot be maintained and the endometrium slowly sheds off and it bleeds. So it starts bleeding by day 28. So this is the physiology of the menstrual cycle. Very important questions generally come. So if we have known the physiology, we should also know that what is the normal menstrual cycle length. Normal menstrual cycle length. What is the normal menstrual cycle length of the menstrual cycle? The FIGO 2018 has been the latest change which has come, and after FIGO 2018 the newer definitions are there and we have to read the newer definitions only. So the cycle interval is normally between 24 to 38 days. Remember this duration. Do not remember the older classification. The newer classification says that duration normally is 24 to 38 days. तो अगर किसी का menstrual cycle का length 24 days से 38 days के बीच है, then it is normal cycle. Okay. Menstrual blood flow. Menstrual flow normally ranges from 2 to 8 days. 2 दिन से 8 दिन तक नॉर्मल है. अगर 8 दिन से ज़्यादा है तो ही ज़्यादा फ्लो है, 2 दिन से कम है, सिर्फ 1 दिन आता है ब्लीडिंग, स्पॉटिंग होता है ओनली, देन वी से दैट फ्लो इज रिड्यूस्ड. ओके. एंड menstrual blood loss is how much normal? It is between 5 to 80 ml. 5 to 80 ml is normal. On an average, you can say there is 35 ml of blood loss. So these are the normal things which you should be knowing. Now, once you have known the normal physiology, how menstruation occurs and how the cycle length is regulated, now we shall see what are the pathologies, various pathologies. Let us come to the pathologies. Okay. So first, since it is an introductory class, we will first see what are the terminologies, various terminologies. Okay. So first, number 1, it can be heavy menstrual bleeding. What do you mean by heavy menstrual bleeding? The other term for heavy menstrual bleeding is menorrhagia. Okay. So heavy menstrual bleeding or menorrhagia means when the blood loss is more than 80 ml. When the blood loss is more than 80 ml, but you cannot measure the 80 ml क्योंकि पेशेंट आपको स्पेसिफिकली बता नहीं पाएंगी 80 ml हुआ है कि 70 ml हुआ है. So if the bleeding is more than 8 days, then also you can say it is a heavy menstrual bleeding. If the bleeding is more than 8 days. So what do we say? Menorrhagia means when the blood loss is more than 80 ml, or if the duration of bleeding is more than 8 days, then you say it is heavy menstrual bleeding or menorrhagia. Next, coming to number 2, it can be prolonged bleeding. Okay, prolonged bleeding. Nowadays a newer terminology has been added, prolonged bleeding. What do you mean by prolonged bleeding? Prolonged bleeding says when the length of the flow is more than 8 days. So only days वाला count करेंगे तो वो prolonged bleeding बोलेंगे. अगर volume भी count करेंगे साथ में तो it is heavy menstrual bleeding. So basically prolonged bleeding is a subset of heavy menstrual bleeding or a subset of menorrhagia. Prolonged bleeding बोल भी सकते, नहीं भी बोल सकते. Okay. So both can be combined under menorrhagia. Menorrhagia means both heavy menstrual bleeding and prolonged bleeding. Number 3 is frequent bleeding. These are the newer terms. आजकल terminologies easy हो गए हैं, पहले के terminologies were a bit difficult. Frequent bleeding was earlier called polymenorrhea. Okay, polymenorrhea मतलब poly मतलब more than once in a month, more than one times in a month patient को bleeding हो रहा है. That is, the cycle length is reduced. When the cycle length is reduced, मतलब एक महीने में 2 बार periods आ रहे हैं किसी को, So this is called poly, more number of times patient is having menorrhea or menses. Okay, so cycle length is reduced. कितना reduce होना चाहिए? Cycle length should be less than 24 days, क्योंकि 24 days to 38 days cycle length is normal, always remember. ठीक है. Number 4 is infrequent cycle, infrequent bleeding. Now what do you mean by infrequent bleeding? This is also called as oligomenorrhea means the cycle length is increased. How much is the cycle length increased? More than 38 days. As we have told, more than 38 days will be oligomenorrhea. Number 5, we have amenorrhea. We can have amenorrhea. Amenorrhea means absence of menses. Now absence of menses कितने दिन तक? Absence of menses for either 6 months, at a stretch, or 3 consecutive cycles. At least 3 consecutive cycles. मतलब इनका साइकिल लेंथ पहले 6 मंथ्स में कितना था? एवरेज साइकिल लेंथ. इफ शी वॉज हैविंग 40 days साइकिल लेंथ, सपोज शी वॉज हैविंग 40 days साइकिल लेंथ, तो 3 cycles will amount to 120 days. So for at least 120 days she should not have any menses. Then we will tell patient is having amenorrhea. Or simply you can say that for 6 months patient should not have menses. Okay. Sometimes some definitions also say, some newer definitions also say that you can wait for 90 days at a stretch, and if patient is not having any menses in 90 days, then also you can consider for amenorrhea. So अलग अलग bodies अलग अलग definitions देते हैं. You can go for either. Whatever is the correct option you are getting in your MCQ, you can go for that. Okay. Next, coming to regular cycle. When do you say कि cycles are regular? Regular cycle is defined as cycle to cycle variability is less than 7 days, 7 to 9 days. Okay, or you can say remember only one value, less than equal 9 days. ठीक है, मतलब एक साइकिल से, इस साइकिल से पिछले साइकिल का इफ आई कंपेयर, देन साइकिल लेंथ का जो ड्यूरेशन है दैट शुड डिफर बाय लेस देन 9 days. मीन्स इस बार मेरा 38 days साइकिल आया है, पिछले बार मेरा 29 days साइकिल आया था. सो डिफरेंस बिटवीन द टू इज 9 days. सो टिल 9 days माई साइकिल्स आर रेगुलर. सो डिफरेंस बिटवीन two cycle length should be less than equal 9 days. Whereas when the difference between two cycle length is more than equal 10 days, 10 दिन या उससे ज़्यादा difference है between the cycle to cycle length, then it is called irregular cycle. So I hope your concepts now are clear कि कब हम बोलेंगे regular cycle, कब हम बोलेंगे irregular cycle. Then coming to intermenstrual bleeding. What do you mean by intermenstrual bleeding? Intermenstrual bleeding means आपके menses तो आए थे, बीच में भी कभी कभी bleeding हो रहा है, बीच में भी patient is having spotting or bleeding. This is also called metrorrhagia. Metrorrhagia means intermenstrual bleeding. Sometimes you have menometrorrhagia. What do you mean by this? Means menorrhagia is heavy menstrual bleeding, metrorrhagia means intermenstrual bleeding. मतलब मेंसेस के टाइम पे भी बहुत ज़्यादा ब्लीडिंग हुआ है एंड बीच बीच में भी पेशेंट को स्पॉटिंग्स हो रहे हैं, देन यू से इट इज़ मेनोमेट्रोरेजिया. बोथ मेनो एंड मेट्रोरेजिया. ये कब होता है? मेट्रोरेजिया या इंटरमेंस्ट्रुअल ब्लीडिंग तभी होता है जब व्हेन देयर इज सम एंडोमेट्रियल पैथोलॉजी, लाइक एंडोमेट्रियम में देयर इज सम सबम्यूकोजल फाइब्रॉइड, या फिर एंडोमेट्रियल पॉलिप है अंदर की तरफ, प्लस सर्वाइकल फाइब्रॉइड है या सर्वाइकल पॉलिप है, कोई भी अंदर के तरफ सर्विक्स या एंडोमेट्रियम में कोई भी लेजन होगा, दैट विल कॉज मेट्रोरेजिया और इंटरमेंस्ट्रुअल ब्लीडिंग. प्लस इफ इट इज़ इन द आउटर सर्विक्स, जब आउटर सर्विक्स में रहता है एंड वो कॉइटस के टाइम पे पेनिस में टच होता है, देन इट विल कॉज postcoital bleeding also. Postcoital bleeding. Okay, so whenever there is some lesion in the cervix, तो वो कोइटस के टाइम पे पीनिस में टच होगा एंड देन इट विल कॉज पोस्ट कोइटल ब्लीडिंग विच इज़ ऑल्सो कॉल्ड कॉन्टैक्ट ब्लीडिंग और कोइटल पोस्ट कोइटल ब्लीडिंग. बट इफ इट इज़ इन द एंडोमेट्रियम and it does not touch the penis, then it will not have postcoital bleeding, but it will have in between bleeding that is called metrorrhagia. Okay, next coming to the terminology which is called withdrawal bleeding. What do you mean by withdrawal bleeding? Withdrawal bleeding मतलब जब ईस्ट्रोजन प्रोजेस्ट्रॉन आपका वैल्यूज कम हो गए थे on day 25, so there was withdrawal of the hormones and then patient was having bleeding. So if you have to mimic the normal cycle, sometimes what we do is we give progesterone to the patient and then we stop it. When we stop the progesterone level goes down, एंड प्रोजेस्ट्रॉन जब दिया था तब ईस्ट्रोजन को भी कम कर दिया था. तो फाइनली जब आपने प्रोजेस्ट्रॉन कम कर दिया तो ईस्ट्रोजन प्रोजेस्ट्रॉन दोनों लो है एंड पेशेंट को ब्लीडिंग आ जाएगा. तो पीपल हु आर हैविंग एमेनोरिया और ओलिगोमेनोरिया लाइक PCOS पेशेंट्स हैव टू बी गिवन विड्रॉल ब्लीडिंग विद प्रोजेस्ट्रॉन. प्रोजेस्ट्रॉन 5 दिन दे के हम बंद कर देंगे तो पेशेंट को फिर बाद में मेंसेस आ जाएगा. दिस इज कॉल्ड विड्रॉल ब्लीडिंग. One more thing you should remember here is what is breakthrough bleeding. What is breakthrough bleeding? Breakthrough bleeding means patient को का बॉडी में ईस्ट्रोजन इज़ वेरी हाई. पेशेंट के बॉडी में ईस्ट्रोजन इज़ वेरी हाई. ईस्ट्रोजन इज़ ऑलवेज हाई. ईस्ट्रोजन कभी कम नहीं हो रहा है. जस्ट एज इन PCOS पेशेंट्स या फिर कोई बाहर से हार्मोन रिप्लेसमेंट थेरेपी ले रहा है, सिर्फ ईस्ट्रोजन ले रहा है. तो ईस्ट्रोजन अगर हाई है तो आपका जो एंडोमेट्रियम है वो थिक होता जाएगा, वो बहुत थिक हो जाएगा. आफ्टर अ सर्टेन पीरियड ऑफ टाइम व्हाट हैपेंस, वो इतना थिक हो जाएगा कि वो धीरे धीरे शेड होता रहेगा, बिकॉज ब्लड वेसल्स विल नॉट बी एबल टू मेंटेन इतना थिक एंडोमेट्रियम. सो आफ्टर इट बिकम्स सपोज 15 mm और 20 mm थिकनेस, उसके बाद वो धीरे धीरे हमेशा ब्लीड करता रहेगा. दिस इज कॉल्ड ब्रेक थ्रू ब्लीडिंग. ओके, दिस इज कॉल्ड ब्रेक थ्रू ब्लीडिंग. So what happens, the endometrium is breaking through and it keeps on bleeding every time. So it happens when you have tonically increased estradiol or estrogen in the body. Okay, so these patients का भी treatment होता है. You have to give progesterone because progesterone will have negative effect on the estrogen. It will bring down the estrogen and progesterone will be high. Then when progesterone also आप withdraw करोगे, then patient को withdrawal bleeding आ जाएगा and then entire endometrium will slough off and then patient will start with new menses. So this is how we follow up the patients. Okay, so you have now there are two more terms which is important. One is hypomenorrhea. Hypomenorrhea is the opposite of menorrhagia. मेनोरेजिया में ब्लीडिंग ज़्यादा हुआ था, मोर देन 80 ml या फिर मोर देन 8 days. सो हाइपोमेनोरिया इज़ व्हेन द ब्लीडिंग इज़ लेस देन 5 ml और ब्लीडिंग ड्यूरेशन इज़ लेस देन 2 days. देन यू से hypomenorrhea. Do not confuse with oligomenorrhea and polymenorrhea. Polymenorrhea when the cycle length was reduced. Oligomenorrhea is when the cycle length is increased. So these are the terminologies which are very important. At the same time, you should remember there is one more terminology. I will put 3 stars on it because it is very, very important. You have metropathia hemorrhagica. Metropathia hemorrhagica. Metropathia hemorrhagica. So what do you mean by metropathia hemorrhagica? Metropathia hemorrhagica is also called cystic glandular hyperplasia. Cystic glandular hyperplasia of endometrium. Okay, it is also called by the other name called Schroeder's syndrome. Or Schroeder's disease. Okay, so what actually do you mean by metropathia hemorrhagica? This occurs when in the body estrogen is very high, progesterone is very low, and patient is having anovulation. Anovulation means ovulation नहीं हो रहा है. ठीक है, अब समझ लो. Classical examples of metropathia hemorrhagica is either PCOS or patients in the perimenopausal age group. Perimenopausal age group means जिनका अभी कुछ टाइम में ही मेनोपॉज हो जाएगा. सो पेरीमेनोपॉजल एज ग्रुप में क्या हुआ? योर ओवरीज हैव बिकम श्रंकन, ओवरीज एजेड हो गए हैं, फॉलिकल्स नंबर हैव रिड्यूस. सो क्या होगा? देयर विल नॉट बी एनी रिक्रूटमेंट ऑफ फॉलिकल्स बिकॉज फॉलिकल्स सारे ओवर हो गए हैं एंड डोमिनेंट फॉलिकल्स भी नहीं होंगे. पेशेंट ओवुलेट नहीं करते हैं, दे आर एनओवुलेटरी साइकिल्स. सो व्हाट हैपन्स इज the anovulation occurs, and if there is no ovulation, no corpus luteum formation, so progesterone will not form. And once ovulation is not taking place, body में estrogen level will always be high, so that body सोचेगा कि estrogen high करने से ovulation होगा, but then follicles है ही नहीं तो कहाँ से recruit हो जाएंगे. So basically your estrogen will be high and progesterone will never be there because ovulation has not taken place. So this occurs in either when the ovarian reserve is over, that is in perimenopausal age group, or in PCOS when there is tonically increased luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone का surge नहीं हो रहा है and there is no ovulation. So that is the pathophysiology of PCOS. सो इन दीज पेशेंट्स व्हाट हैपन्स, ईस्ट्रोजन हमेशा हाई रहता है तो आपका एंडोमेट्रियम हमेशा बहुत थिक हो जाएगा. एंडोमेट्रियम विल बिकम वेरी थिक. सो फॉर द नेक्स्ट 2 to 3 months एंडोमेट्रियम विल बिकम थिक. उसके बाद क्या होगा? 3 months बाद जब एंडोमेट्रियम बहुत थिक हो जाएगा, देन दिस एंडोमेट्रियम कैन नॉट बी सस्टेन्ड एंड वो धीरे धीरे ब्लीड करता रहेगा. इट विल कीप ऑन ब्लीडिंग and it will have heavy menstrual bleeding. bleed करता रहेगा always because इतना thick endometrium bleed होगा. so patient will say, classical example कि 2 to 3 months तक patient को कोई menses नहीं आते हैं, फिर अचानक से patient को बहुत ज़्यादा bleeding आ जाता है. फिर उसके बाद फिर next 2 to 3 months तक कोई bleeding नहीं आता है, फिर 2 to 3 months बाद बहुत ज़्यादा bleeding आता है, फिर नहीं आता है, फिर बहुत ज़्यादा bleeding आता है. so this is called metropathia hemorrhagica, also called Schroeder's disease because Schroeder had first diagnosed it, and then cystic glandular hyperplasia, because if you take endometrial biopsy of this endometrium and you look in the microscope, then you will find that it is filled of many glands. Cystic glandular appearance. So glandular appearance, cystic glandular appearance is found, which is also called the Swiss cheese appearance. It is just like Swiss cheese. Appearance of the endometrium gland is found in histopathology. So this is very important. Okay. Apart from these menorrhagia and all the menstrual bleeding abnormalities, sometimes patients come to you in OPD with dysmenorrhea. Dysmenorrhea. What do you mean by dysmenorrhea? Dysmenorrhea means painful menstruation. Painful menstruation means patient has menstrual pain, painful menstruation. Now dysmenorrhea can be of 2 types. Dysmenorrhea can be either primary dysmenorrhea or it can be secondary dysmenorrhea. Primary dysmenorrhea is when the cause is not found, when the cause of the this thing is not found, that is there is no identifiable pelvic pathology. No identifiable pelvic pathology is found, but still patient is having a lot of pain. Secondary dysmenorrhea is when ultrasound is showing some pelvic pathology, identifying pelvic pathology. Okay, so pelvic pathology is present, then you say it is secondary dysmenorrhea. Primary dysmenorrhea is also called spasmodic dysmenorrhea. Spasmodic dysmenorrhea, whereas secondary dysmenorrhea is called congestive dysmenorrhea. Congestive dysmenorrhea. So what is the difference between primary and secondary dysmenorrhea? One, I have told कि no identifiable cause is found and identifiable pelvic pathology is found in congestive or secondary dysmenorrhea. मोस्टली प्राइमरी डिस्मेनोरिया ऑकर्स इन एडोलेसेंट्स. एडोलेसेंट गर्ल्स दे कम कि बहुत पेन होता है पीरियड्स में, बहुत पेन होता है एंड नथिंग इज फाउंड इन देयर अल्ट्रासाउंड, सो दे आर प्राइमरी डिस्मेनोरिया. Whereas secondary dysmenorrhea generally occurs in parous or elderly women. Parous or elderly women. Elderly women will suffer from congestive dysmenorrhea or secondary dysmenorrhea. Then it starts with the onset of the menses. Spasmodic starts with onset of menses. So ये जो पेन होता है onset of menses, ये आपके पीरियड्स के दौरान पेन होता है. ड्यूरिंग द मेंसेस पेशेंट विल हैव पेन एंड दिस स्टार्ट्स 7 to 10 days before menses. 7 to 10 days before menses. So 1 week before menses start, patient will start have pain and it gets relieved with menstrual bleeding. जब menstrual bleeding start होता है तब ये पेन बंद हो जाता है elderly women में. So it occurs in the last part of the cycle. Here when you do a PV examination or per abdomen examination, that is pelvic examination, will have nothing abnormal. Normal will be found. But in pelvic examination there will be some pelvic pathology. pelvic pathology रहेगा. अब pelvic pathology क्या क्या रह सकता है? It can be adenomyosis, it can be fibroids. all the palm coin classification में जहाँ पे आपके structural abnormalities आ गए, वो सारे चीज़ में ये सारा हो सकता है. congestive, ठीक है, polyps हो सकता है. all these things can be there, ठीक है. and it will also have all the normal laboratory tests. basically अगर examination findings normal है तो ये होगा. and इसमें डिपेंडिंग अपॉन कि आपके क्या पैथोलॉजी है, एबनॉर्मल लैब टेस्ट होंगे, ठीक है. सो दिस इज़ द डिफरेंस बिटवीन प्राइमरी एंड सेकेंडरी डिस्मेनोरिया. सेकेंडरी डिस्मेनोरिया में योर ट्रीटमेंट विल बी डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द रेस्पेक्टिव पैथोलॉजी. वॉट एवर इज़ द रेस्पेक्टिव पैथोलॉजी. एडिनोमाइसिस है तो एडिनोमाइसिस का ट्रीटमेंट, एंडोमेट्रियोसिस है तो एंडोमेट्रियोसिस का ट्रीटमेंट, फाइब्रॉइड्स है तो फाइब्रॉइड्स का ट्रीटमेंट. एंड हियर द ट्रीटमेंट विल बी बेसिकली प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन सिंथेटेज इनहिबिटर. सो वाई एक्चुअली अगर कोई कॉज नहीं है तो क्यों हो रहा है प्राइमरी डिस्मेनोरिया? इट इज़ बिकॉज प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन्स आर रेज्ड. प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन्स receptors या फिर prostaglandin levels are raised in adolescents because they are very sensitive. So prostaglandin is basically the cause of pain. So prostaglandin synthetase inhibitor मतलब NSAIDs देना पड़ेगा आपको, NSAIDs. And the most common example is your mefenamic acid. Mefenamic acid tablets are given. Mefenamic acid is your Meftal-Spas. So 500 mg tablet is given twice daily during the menses. So उनको for 3 to 5 days during the menses you can give mefenamic acid and that's all patient can take. BD or TDS can also be given if patient has. Apart from that, if mefenamic acid से नहीं होता है then you can go for other painkillers like ibuprofen can be given 400 milligrams 8 hourly. TDS can be given or you can give naproxen. So basically these are symptomatic reliefs which are done. 250 mg QID 6 hourly can be given or COX inhibitors can also be given. COX-2 inhibitors like your celecoxib, etoricoxib, okay, celecoxib, etoricoxib, all these drugs can be given 200 milligram BD. They are given and very much helpful in adolescence. So this is what are the treatments for these. Other than that you can give progesterones also. Progesterones can also help to relieve the pain because prostaglandins will be inhibited by progesterone. So this is all about dysmenorrhea. Once we have studied all these things, you should remember the causes of AUB. What are the causes of AUB if somebody asks? So FIGO has classified them into palm coin classification, PALM palm, and then coin classification, COEIN palm coin classification. So what does these mean? The first four palm stands for the structural abnormalities. Structural abnormality, all the structural abnormality जो आपके अल्ट्रासाउंड में दिखेगा, like any polyp, any endometrial polyp or cervical polyp. A stands for adenomyosis. Adenomyosis. We will have separate classes on all these, so don't worry. I will take in much detail. Then you have leiomyoma. Leiomyoma are fibroids, and M stands for malignancy. All the type of malignancies causing AUB, mostly your endometrial cancers. Endometrial cancers will lead to heavy menstrual bleeding. COIN stands for all the causes which are functional abnormality. They are functional abnormalities. They are not structural abnormality. मतलब अल्ट्रासाउंड में नहीं दिखेगा. तो what do you mean by C? C is coagulopathy. Coagulopathy मतलब coagulation disorder से bleeding ज़्यादा हो रहा है. O stands for ovulatory causes. Ovulatory and at the same time anovulatory causes. Anovulatory causes मतलब अगर ovulation नहीं हो रहा है या हो रहा है उसके चलते भी there can be AUB. So all these come in O. E stands for endometrial causes. Endometrial causes. So there are some factors in the endometrium like disbalance between prostaglandin E2 versus prostaglandin F2 alpha. Okay, so this disbalance is an endometrial cause which is leading to AUB. I stands for iatrogenic. Iatrogenic means आपने कोई दवाई दिया है and उस दवाई से उसको bleeding ज़्यादा हो रहा है. And N stands for when not otherwise classified. Not otherwise classified. बाकी सारे causes आपने रूल आउट कर दिया, क्लासीफाई नहीं हुआ है तो उसमें N में आ जाएगा. एंड मोस्ट कॉमन कॉज विच कम्स इन नॉट अदरवाइज क्लासीफाइड इज योर isthmosil. Isthmosil. What do you mean by isthmosil? Very important. Nowadays questions come from isthmosil. Isthmosil is suppose you have done a cesarean section. Cesarean section में आपने lower uterine segment में कट लगाया. When you keep suturing, when you suture this line, when you do the suture line, if your suture line is very tight, then you will indent the endometrium. आपका जो endometrium था वो ऐसे था, सीधा था. अब क्या हुआ, आपने इतना ज़्यादा टाइट suture लगाया कि your endometrium has become like this. Endometrium has become like this. ये ऊपर खींच के आपने suture लगा दिया. ठीक है. Now this part, this cavity which is created is actually called the isthmosil. Isthmosil. So what happens is during every menstrual cycle, blood will keep on accumulating in this cavity. Blood will keep on accumulating. Then patient का complaints क्या होगा? Patient will have normal menses, but after menses are over, patient will tell कि हमें तो थोड़ा spotting होता रहता है, black blood आता है या फिर spotting आता रहता है. So patient will have normal menses. After menses, patient will keep on having for the next 7 to 10 days. Patient will have this thing. Patient will have spotting. So this is called isthmosil. So this also leads to prolonged menses, that is more than 8 days तक spotting होता रहेगा, which is also a example of menorrhagia or prolonged bleeding. Okay, so all these features come under isthmosil. The treatment of isthmosil is you have to excise the isthmosil. You have to go hysteroscopically with a laparoscope. Laparoscope in the uterine cavity is called hysteroscope. So go hysteroscopically and you have to excise. You have to cut this and then repair it, suture it properly. So excision of isthmosil is the treatment of isthmosil. So remember this. Okay, so these are the classifications. I will be taking separate classes because adenomyosis and leiomyoma and your malignancies are very important topics, as well as ovulatory se bhi you get a lot of cases in examination, as well as you get viva questions and your gynae case vivas also. So we'll be discussing them in detail. Thank you for listening to me. This was an introductory class to AUB and I hope I have made this chapter very easy. My aim is to make all the chapters understandable so that you understand them and then you read it, so that it becomes easy and you can retain it properly rather than mugging up. Thank you so much. Thank you.